Welcome back to Flash Fiction Fridays. I'm your host, Teresa Garcia, or Amehana Arashi. I apologize for the long absence. There have been many things going on. There has been Haiku Month, which was all the month in February, and then this March is the March of Robots push, and then I had some wonderful company who I am quite sad had to go home. I look forward to seeing him again when possible. And of course, all this COVID-19 stuff that's going on, which I hope to alleviate a little bit of. I apologize if this is a slightly noisier video than usual. I am sitting beside the new laptop so that I can read directly from my Scrivener files. And I am not quite certain where the other hum is coming from. I suspect from the LED light up above. So the first of the haiku that I wrote for the month of February is titled My Skin. A simple thing, soul, unless you are a selkie. Free to me, my skin. The next, for the next day, is also rather folklore and mythology based. Hand. Open, I beckon. Come swiftly to me, my love. Take this waiting hand. The third day was stag. A toss of antler, the crunch of dry leaves, then the stick cracks. And the fourth, for Haiku Month, was Tom Tit Tot. Silent as the mouse, Tom Tit Tot cleans the house. Then humans awake. First movie, Fawn roaming forest. Where's your mother gone to? The hunter was here. Now, for those of you that are of my age, you may be able to guess exactly which movie was the first I ever got to see in theaters. The last of the haiku written for Haiku Month that I will read for this reading is Playground Equipment. Laughter once rang, now only ghosts play, but few hear them. The next episode, I intend to read a few more from Flash Fiction Month. For now, let us turn slightly away from the computer and let's enter the Lodge of Leisures and read another tale from Strange Stories from the Lodge of Leisures, which is available for free on Gutenberg.org, should you choose to go and read. And I do highly recommend perusing Gutenberg.org, where you can find many classics, all freely available, all in the public domain. Now, if I remember correctly, the Lodge of Leisures is a Korean collection, but I might be misremembering the country. The particular tale for this reading is The Woman in Green. At this time, in the pavilion of the guests, in the monastery of the Healing Springs, the most celebrated of the Fokien province, lived a young scholar whose name was Little Cypress. As soon as the sun rose, he was at his work, seated near the trellised window. When night fell, His lamp still lit the outline of the wooden trellis. One morning, a shadow darkened his book. He raised his eyes. A young woman with a long green skirt, her face of matchless beauty, was standing outside the window and was looking at him. "You are then always working, Lord Little Cypress," she said. She was so bewitching that he knew her immediately for a goddess, but all the same he asked her where she lived and what was her name. "Your lordship has looked on his humble wife. He has known her as a goddess. What is the use of so many questions?" Little Cypress, satisfied with this reply, invited her to enter the house. She came in. Her waist was so small, one would almost have thought that her body was divided in two. He invited her to sit down. They talked and laughed together a long time. He asked her to sing, and with a low voice which filled her friend with rapture, she sang. On the trees the bird pursues his companion. Oppressed slaves free themselves with love. How has my lord lived alone without enjoying all the pleasures of married life? The sound vibrated like a thread of silk. It penetrated the ear and troubled the heart. As she finished, she suddenly arose. "A man is standing near the window. He is listening to us. He is going round. He is trying to see." "Since when does a goddess fear a man?" replied Little Cypress, laughing. "I am troubled without knowing why. My heart beats. I wish to go." She went to the open door, but abruptly shut it. "I do not know why I am thus upset. Will you accompany me as far as the entrance gate?" Little Cypress held her up till they got to the gate. He had just left her and turned his head when he heard her call for help in a voice full of anguish. He hurriedly turned round. No one was to be seen. As he was looking for her with stupefaction, his eyes fell on a big cobweb, stretched in the corner of the wall. The ugly and gigantic insect held in its claws a dragonfly, who was struggling and dolefully crying. Affected by this sight, he hastened to deliver it. The pretty insect immediately flew in the direction of the pavilion of the guests. Little Cypress saw it go in at the window and alight on the stone for grinding the ink. Then it arose again and alighted on the paper which was placed on the table. There it oddly crawled, retracing its steps, returning, advancing, and stopping. After a moment it took its flight and disappeared in the sky. Little Cypress, much puzzled, approached and looked. On the paper was written in big strokes the word, "Thanks." And here, let us leave the Lodge of Leisures and its strange tales. I have fallen a little bit behind on writing my own short stories. If you have any short stories that you have written and you wish to hear featured on this podcast, please send them to Teresa, Teresa, Amehana, Amehana, Garcia, Garcia, @gmail.com. Again, that is Teresa Amehana Garcia @gmail.com. Or you could send them to THG Star Dragon Publishing, also at gmail.com. I pay $3 to $5 for every story or poem that has been submitted and is actually used in this podcast.
Music track by Shiro, Ossens at Eiter, copyright 2007, licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license.
Until next time, happy reading.